Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
And welcome to a new episode of the Containment Unit. I am Tony.
I'm Lindsay.
And I guess we can call this Bitch Fest 2018 for today's topic.
Oh yeah, it is 2018, isn't it? I have to remember that.
With our last, the last one we loaded, we had some scheduling issues, so we actually just loaded our test podcast that we did before we ever did the first episode. So that was kind of like a little throwback, 10 episodes in, time for a throwback.
I think the last time we recorded was like in December.
It was. The last time we recorded was our review of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So for this one, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a bitch fest because today's topic is attitudes in geekdom. Mm-hmm. And basically, there'd be a lot of assholes in geekdom today.
Right?
It's
yeah.
It's kind of pathetic.
Yeah, it's like geek politics.
Oh gosh, it in some instances I think it's getting worse than politics.
Yeah.
But we kind of touched on this when we did our review of The Last Jedi, because there were people that were going nuts over the film. This is horrible. They've killed it. They were getting online petitions together against it.
We touched on it too when we talked about when we did our Justice League one also.
Well, I mean, this has been a common thread because we also talked about it in the very first episode we did when we had Dave and Christina over from the Phoenix Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. We talked about the Ghostbusters reboot. More importantly, we talked about the backlash.
Right. And
there's just been a lot of it lately. And it just seems to be intensifying year by year by year.
Yeah.
And we've even said that it's really disheartening because with geekdom, we're already the outcasts.
Yeah.
Geekdom was supposed to be us banding together.
Yeah. Well, like when I was in high school, I'm a huge Buffy nerd. Buffy was my nickname in high school, and all of my friends, we all had nicknames from someone in the show, from some character in the show. And
Cordelia.
We didn't have a Cordelia, come to think of it. We didn't have a Cordelia.
Because there's only one.
She's not the Highlander. But like our friend Nick, I labeled him Xander.
I can see that.
Yeah. Anyway, ranting. But that's the thing. I was always judged by it. Like I had people in school who thought that I believed vampires are real, and they would make fun of me because I'm like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She believes in vampires. Stuff. I'm like, you're idiots. Oh my gosh. But
okay, let's be honest though. This is that was Texas. Okay, quick side note to show the absurdity of attitudes in Texas. Mm-hmm. Around the Waco area in the early to mid 90s, there was a UIL competition, and it was dramatic reading.
Okay.
And one of the contestants did a dramatic reading of, I think it was Salem's Lot.
Okay.
And just very passionate, very dark. It was just such an intense recital of this passage.
Salem's Lot's a good book,
yeah,
too.
It's fantastic.
It's really good.
And the next student that came up was just bug-eyed and just out of nowhere started speaking in tongues.
What?
And they had to go up and walk him off stage. And then judges started going up to the kid that read Salem's Lot, this 15, 16-year-old kid. You put a hex on that boy, didn't you?
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
You put a spell on him. You cursed him. That's what you did. The kid that started speaking in tongues got put on to the next round. The kid that read Salem's Lot was eliminated from the competition because they thought he put a f***ing spell on the other kid. Do you know who this is? Jason Murphy.
Is it really?
This is Jason Murphy from the YouTube show The Modern Rogue. This is a story he's told for years on podcasts. It actually happened to him in Texas
Oh my
for
gosh.
UIL
I
competition.
love Jason Murphy too.
And you can see him actually doing that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you don't know who Jason Murphy is, seriously, just go to Modern Rogue, search
Him
Modern
and Brian
Rogue on
Brushwood.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Texas. That's the attitude
Texas.
for you. You know, it's if you don't believe in football, you're nothing. So growing up a geek in Texas in the 90s, we were nothing in their eyes.
You so twanged that. Growing up geek in Texas. You so twanged that just
I
then.
did not do that at all.
That Texas is rubbing off on you.
All right, let's keep going. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there just to compare the attitudes that they have out there in Texas.
But the thing is, though, the other geeks, even if the other geeks weren't into Buffy, it was still a, we got your back type of thing.
Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't alienated or excluded from other geek communities just because I wasn't into the same type of geek, because they hadn't, it was an understanding. We know what you're going through. We know what it feels like, and we're not going to judge you because you love this. But nowadays it's just not the way it is nowadays. Is you have to like this type of geekdom, you have to like this aspect of it, and you have to hate this aspect of it, and if you don't, then you're not a real geek.
And there's a word that's come out in pop culture that gets thrown around so easily nowadays, and I just freaking hate the word, which is ironic because the word is hater.
Okay.
Because all that does, and this is exactly, I have no illusions of this. This is exactly the point of the word. You label someone a hater, all you're doing is discrediting their opinion.
Yeah.
That what they're saying means nothing, even if they have a very genuine reason and a genuine thought process for coming to this negative opinion about something. And there's all, you're just drinking the haterade. Oh, you're just a cup of haters. And
Drinking the haterade?
The cup of haters thing, it was a line that Enzo Amore used to use on WWE. He goes, I see a cup of haters around here. A cup of haters. And it's like, no, we're not haters. We've watched your shtick. You're annoying as hell. You're a rapist dipshit. And we don't like you. See, valid reasons for disliking something.
Right.
But it's this whole thing of people are just, oh, you're just hating. Oh, you're just a hater. Am I not allowed to have a negative opinion about something?
Well, even look at the opposite, though, because if that person who's calling you a hater has a negative opinion about something else that you like, then they're not labeling themselves a hater in turn.
Yeah.
It's the idea of I'm allowed to hate what I hate. You are not allowed to hate what you hate.
Because what you hate, I like.
Mm-hmm. And it's not right for you to hate that.
Exactly. And I hate the fact, we're going to use the word hate a lot right now. I'm very frustrated.
Hate is a 4-letter word.
I'm frustrated with the fact that this keeps going back to the Ghostbusters reboot. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in a lot of ways, it wasn't the start of this phenomenon.
But it was the bomb that...
And it's a great example of this turn in geekdom. Because you had a lot of supporters of the reboot saying, oh, you're just a hater. Oh, you're just this. You're just that. If you said anything negative about it, they had all of these assumptions about you for no other reason than to discredit your argument against the film, no matter what it was, how little or how big. Were there idiots and assholes that were speaking out against the film? Absolutely. Just like there were idiots and assholes supporting the film.
Yeah.
But, there's all this, oh, you're just hating on it because you're
misogynistic.
You're just hating on it because you're a misogynist. You're hating on it because you're a sexist. And it's like, no, I dislike what I've seen so far. I dislike what I've seen these people do in other things, and I don't see how they're going to... How does that make me a hater? How does that make my opinions mean nothing.
Right.
And then people were saying that, how can you have such a negative opinion about the film if you haven't even seen it yet?
How can you have such a positive opinion about the film if you haven't seen it yet?
Exactly. So the positive opinions are okay without having seen scene one of any film.
Yeah.
But I can look at the exact same stuff and I'm not allowed to dislike what I've seen. It just, again, like politics, makes no sense.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, it's geek politics.
It very much is geek politics. And I think a lot of this stems from the impact that the internet has had on society.
Yeah.
Just society in general. Because you have a lot of keyboard crusaders who feel empowered by this anonymity where they get behind a keyboard, they can type whatever they want, they don't have to see somebody face to face, and they can say the most vile shit they want and no repercussions. They can still log in under their own name, their own picture for their avatar, but still, they don't have to see anything face to face. Now, believe me, I understand the irony here that I'm saying this behind a microphone, behind a keyboard. I get the irony, but I like to pride myself on being the kind of person that anything I say to you online or anything that I say into this microphone for our podcast, I have absolutely no problem saying it to your face. I may be a little bit more calm and collect, like, I get a little hyped up doing this kind of stuff. I will watch how I say it to people.
Right.
I try to do that online too, but there are people out there that you make them look the person in the eye, no way in hell are they going to say half the stuff that they type. So I think that carries over to the geek community because a lot of this happens online.
Right.
Fans are not getting up in front of the director of The Last Jedi, looking him in the eye and tearing him a new one.
But at the same time, you have the opposite, though, because you have a lot of people who, because they are able to get online, and it is a bunch of, ones and zeros and stuff like that, because it is just a person's picture there. It's not somebody that they're personifying. As much as they know, that's just like a character in a book that has no real substance, Am I making sense there?
It is. They're bashing a picture. They're not, in their mind, they're bashing an inanimate thing, not a living, breathing person. But
right now I'm thinking of Felicia Day.
Okay.
In the book that she had come out a few years back, right? She talked about how when a bunch of her email, her address, all sorts of stuff got put onto that one site, and she had This is where I'm not geek. I'm out of the loop on all of this stuff.
I think
here.
a lot of people know what you're talking about.
Right.
Though,
But she started having problems after that because she would be walking down the street and she would get bullied. She would have on a geek shirt and stuff like that, and she would get bullied. And it got to the point where if she saw someone walking down the street who had on another geek shirt, and usually it was a guy, she would cross the street.
Yeah.
Because she knew that there was going to be an attack of some kind, and so I think the opposite is true, because whereas you said that you stare them in the eye, they're now you're personified because you're staring them in the eye. They're not going to be able to say that stuff. But other people, they don't do that click. It's like we've created a mass of sociopaths with the internet. They still cannot personify a person,
especially celebrities.
When they are staring them in the face. And so all that vitriol and that abuse, they will still do to your face, but now they have the option to take it physical if they so want to.
Yeah, which has happened, unfortunately. Right. And then there's, another thing that is spurned out of this geek vitriol is swatting.
What I'm not familiar with that.
And I kind of talked to you about this recently because there was another swatting incident in the news where one geek is pissed off at another geek.
Okay.
A lot of times this happens because of shit talking that happens overcomes in a video game playing online.
Okay.
Another where
Oh yeah, I think you told me about this. I remember hearing about this. Yeah.
Another place where there's anonymity because you're not saying it to a person's face. You can
Right.
just crap talk them on your headset and be done. Banged your mom. Stuff like
Honey.
that. Yeah. Okay. So, I'll censor that one. But again, that's like cliche. That's a cliche
Right.
for playing online.
Right.
That you have 12-year-olds saying this to you, and just a lot of ridiculous stuff.
Right.
And it turns into such frustration and hatred that people are calling the SWAT team on other players
Right.
in other states. They're getting online, finding out where they live, call the local police, and then say,
There's a hostage situation.
there's a
or
hostage
something.
situation. I've got a gun to this person's head, and I'm going to kill him. I live at this address. And the SWAT team shows up. People have died
Right.
in swatting incidences. And you see the SWATers, and they're laughing about things. And,
Right.
I'm not a SWAT team member. I didn't pull the trigger. I'm not responsible for that person's death. You made the false report.
Right.
You may not have pulled the trigger, but you have some responsibility in there because you're an immature neckbeard that can't handle being pissed off at somebody.
Well, I mean, first off, even if nobody actually gets hurt, filing a false report
Is a crime.
is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know to what level. I think in a level where a SWAT's called, it's a felony.
I think it's a high misdemeanor pushing, depending on.
But you have it turn into an incident where someone is actually killed because of your action, and you show no remorse over it. You are at that point are a danger to society.
Yes.
It's just
But what's ridiculous is this is exclusive to geekdom.
yeah.
We talked about the political back and forth.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is go on Facebook and look at the CNN feed, the Fox News feed, the back and forth. It is some vile crap.
It is.
But
yeah.
nobody's swatting. Nobody's going to the degrees that geeks are doing just because of little disagreements over geekdom or frustrations over geekdom.
I mean, you still have, the bad crap that's going on, like hate crimes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like people who don't know how to handle their anger issues because, like, their video game character just got killed in, like, Halo or something.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
No, I agree. And it just shows a level of immaturity that geeks have been accused of having for a long time.
And I think the one reason why it's getting worse is because the geek community is getting bigger.
Yeah.
And
geek is chic. It is mainstream.
Right. It is. Because you have, like, the bullies in high school who used to make fun of us for wearing the Batman and Superman shirts and stuff like that. Now you see them walking around wearing Captain America shirts.
Yeah.
You see them just as much as the part of the geek society and putting in just as much of their 2 cents as to what they like better, DC or Marvel, who's doing a better job, stuff like that. And it's just like, where were you with these opinions in high school when we could have actually debated it without wanting to actually tear each other's throats out?
Yeah.
But now, so people who were like closet geeks back then or were completely not into it back then, now they are part of the geek community, or claiming a part in the geek community along with everybody else. And so they're adding their own fire, their own flame, their own spark to that flame. And, I've lost my train of thought. I forgot where this was going.
No, but I get what you're saying is that they're polluting the well because they're bringing in their preconceived attitudes. And I mean, they're already a bully. So they're going to bring that attitude in to geekdom because it is mainstream and they're liking geek commodities now.
Right.
And now the ones that were bullied are turning around to be the bullies.
Yeah. And I don't
because
think
they
that-
have a slightest sense of superiority over somebody else because they know something somebody else does, or they like something that somebody else doesn't.
Well, also because the geek has become so mainstream, and like you said, it is that idea of superiority because now the things that they always liked, now those are cool.
Yeah.
Now the stuff that they liked was cool. Like I remember when Twilight first came big, all of a sudden vampires were huge, and I've been a fan of vampires since I was. Since I first saw like Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was a kid,
yeah,
right? The movie, not the TV show, the movie, and heck, even a Interview with a Vampire, and now, but you can never find vampire stuff because it was a geeky thing, so it wasn't mainstream. And then Twilight came out, and screw Twilight, but it made vampires cool.
Which is ironic because what's in Twilight
is not
vampire.
Not vampire. And so all of a sudden, all this vampire stuff was out, and I'm walking around the stores going, I'm in heaven. But the thing is, though, I wasn't allowed to be, if I said anything like, I was in vampires before they were cool. And to me, this is like giving heroin to a heroin addict. This is excellent. And everyone's going, well, you're just a hipster. And I'm like, what? Because you weren't into vampires until Twilight came out? I'm not allowed to be into vampires because I was into them for 10 years, 20 years before you were?
Well, and that's the thing is you never had that, and I hate the term too, hipster.
Yeah.
You never had that attitude of, well, I liked it before it was cool. You never used that as a status symbol. There's some douches out there that did use hipsterism as I liked this band before they hit the mainstream and now they're just sellouts and I try to be superior because you liked this before others did. I was never everything.
I was never superior about it, but I definitely. I would mention it occasionally because I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I've always loved vampires, and now it's cool, so I find vampire stuff everywhere." And I'm like decking out my car with vampire stuff and everything because it's there. It's actually freaking there. I can find it, and that's the way geek culture has become. All this stuff, it's actually there now. It's so much easier to find because it's cool. So all this stuff is out there, but then you've got all these geeks who are like, well, I liked it first. And like you said, this idea of superiority. Well, I'm going to bully you now because I've got the knowledge and this is my area of expertise and you can suck it.
Even if they're not that much of an expert, they still try to pull the card.
Yeah.
And this happened to me quite recently when I published the episode we did for the review of Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. I posted it to a couple geek sites that I followed on Facebook just because I wanted to get people's opinions. I love debate. I love conversation.
As long as it's not like what we've been talking about. You want a mature debate.
healthy debate.
Healthy debate, yeah.
And literally 2 minutes after I posted it, and I even put in there that this one ran longer than we're used to. We went like an hour and 50 minutes.
It was like an hour and 54 or something like that. Yeah.
And I said, almost 2 hours. The time got away from us. In the description, 2 minutes in, some jackass just starts riding me about, man, that's too long for a podcast, and starts telling me where I've gone wrong with my podcast already. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow. It's only been up for 2 minutes, and now I've got the king of podcasts telling me everything I'm doing wrong. This guy started quoting podcast, not like requirements, but advice. Mm-hmm. And this is best to do this, and putting them in quotes, and then putting the person that said the quote. And it took me 2 reads to realize this jackass is quoting himself. And I'm just like, really? This is what you do. You're online. I just posted this 2 minutes ago, and I'm saying this to him, just chiming in, and I'm like, so this has only been up for 2 minutes, and the God of podcasts came to tell me how I've sinned. Oh, I apologize. Allow me to repent, you dip. And it got worse and worse. And he finally said, dude, this is the internet. You're just going to have thicker skin. And it's become so commonplace.
Yeah.
This kind of crap talking that people say, oh, it's just the internet. No, you're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't just write it off as, oh, that's just the internet.
The internet did not put those comments out there.
Yeah, the
you
internet,
did.
Yeah, the internet did not make you an asshole. It gave you a voice to be an asshole. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And that's anywhere you go nowadays. It's so commonplace. It's disgusting.
And we've also been talking about the maturity level. You want a mature conversation, and how, like, whenever with the swatting, it's a bunch of people who are having this immature mentality. Yeah. And I wonder how much of it comes from, we are from a generation that did not want to grow up.
No, we are not. We're what generation? We're between X and Y.
There's like a new term for our generation, because we're somewhere between like Z and millennial or something like that. Like there's some like weird terminology for us or something.
Yeah, well, we're 80s children.
Yeah, well, born in the 80s, but raised.
I'm pushing. I'm going to be 37 soon.
Yeah,
and we were a little too young to be Gen X, but I remember all the Gen X stuff going on when we were in high school.
Yeah,
but like you said, our generation didn't want to grow up. I'm living proof of that, and I tell people, getting older is mandatory. Growing up, that's voluntary.
Yeah.
And I try to be mature when I can, but I'm also the guy that collects action figures. And
look at all the ones we have hanging on our wall.
Yeah, we have action figures hanging on our wall. We have them on our bookshelf.
I collect Beauty and the Beast dolls.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm 35.
We have our geekdoms. And that's the thing. It's not a bad thing. But like you pointed out, a lot of this is mainstream. How much of my Ghostbusters stuff have I gotten in the last 5 years?
You got 3 just for Christmas.
Yeah, because it's turned around now and we're getting all this new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, to kind of recap what I said when we opened this is just, it's disappointing that we're at this. And there are people that are going on and on about like Marvel versus DC now.
Yeah.
And that's the most recent thing in the news that really made me want to talk about this with you tonight, is because Black Panther's coming out.
Yeah.
And DC fans who are pissed off with the way DC films have been getting negative ratings and negative attention vowed to slam Black Panther any chance they got.
That's ridiculous. I hadn't heard about that.
Oh no, yeah, this is complete horse crap. And I'm a DC fan more than a Marvel fan. And I'm sitting back thinking, you idiots, all you're doing is justifying what people think of DC fans right now.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they were going to get on Rotten Tomatoes and all these aggregate sites and just keep giving negative ratings to kill the response, because Black Panther was having a huge response leading up to it.
Right.
Had the highest pre-ticket sales of all time.
Really?
Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, because the reviews are starting to pour in, as of tonight, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
It's going to change.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Now, is that fan or Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes, it's
okay.
Professional score, 100%.
Yeah.
But it is looking to be one of the best Marvel films.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, too. I love the character of Black Panther in the Marvel films. I fully admit, though, I think, and this is just me as a DC fan, I think a lot of people are popping their corks for Marvel films when it's not justified. Like Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, both of them. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh my God, this is the greatest Marvel film of all time. And I'm like, dude, these are average at best.
Yeah.
And people are treating them like the second coming of comic book films. That's, again, just my opinion. I'm not saying it's bad to dislike them. I just don't...
Or to like them.
Or to like them. I don't get the the fanfare for them.
Right.
Just like at the same respect, I think people are not giving enough credit to the DC films.
Yeah.
But again, it's just my opinion. I'm not going to go out and bash another film because I'm upset a film that I like got bashed.
Right.
You're definitely not going to do that.
No, I after seeing everything by the critics and everything, my thought is, I'm not going to look at what the critics or anything like that say of a movie before I go see it, because it's a bunch of crap. It doesn't really mean anything. It has nothing to do with your personal opinion.
Yeah.
You can't let someone else's view of it affect how you're going to view it, because you're not going to see it the same way they see it. You're not going to see it from the same perspective. Everybody's going to see it differently based off of, the culture you come from, based off of the life experiences that you've had, based off of your current emotional state. You could see a movie, the day it comes out, and then have some other stuff happen in your life and go see it 3 weeks later and then take a completely different view of how the movie is.
Yeah.
So
and like we actually kind of talked about this just to kind of drive that point home even more. A couple weeks ago, we saw The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
I was interested. You were excited.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wanted to see it so bad. I had been trying to see it it came out here in Phoenix at the beginning of December.
Yeah.
And I had been trying to see it that whole time.
Yeah. And for 2 weekends in a row, we had to cancel going to see it because one of our children
was
it was like they were swapping back and forth. So we finally went to see it. I'm interested. You're excited. Mm-hmm. And we walked out of the film. You liked it, but not as much as you thought you would.
Yeah.
And I walked out loving it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's still an excellent movie. It's still
it's beautiful.
We
brilliant.
still went off on how fantastic it was, on the music, on the set, on the just the cinematography, the direction. Guillermo del Toro. Oh my gosh.
I hope
Doug Jones.
Doug
as
Jones
the Amphibian
deserves
Man.
an Oscar nomination. I can't believe he didn't
get a
nominated.
nomination.
But at the same time, he would have gotten lead actor nomination, and I don't want anybody to get in Gary Oldman's way this year. But everything else, I hope they win Best Picture.
Right.
I kind of I want Guillermo del Toro to win Best Director, but Jordan Peele's up for it too.
Right,
for Get Out.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't know.
But still, the fact that it didn't get a Best Makeup nomination, it's like, oh my gosh, his whole outfit is nothing but makeup.
Yeah.
The lights, they're not lights, they're paint.
Yeah.
Come on.
So
sorry, geek out.
Serious geek out moment. But that's just going to show how things can change,
right?
And personal attitudes can change. I remember not very long ago, there was this mass idea that the critics didn't know what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. That I tend to like movies the critics don't like. And I heard so many people discrediting the critics because they were just overanalyzing. They were this, that, and the other, and whatever reason they could come up with.
Or they were paid to say that.
Yeah, they were paid to say this. Whatever reason people could come up with to not take a critic seriously, they were. But now, it's like a complete 180. And people are just waiting for those critics to come back. And Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, is the stamp of approval.
Yeah.
We have friends who take pleasure, a weird sadistic pleasure, in movies that they don't like the looks of getting trashed by critics. We've got some friends who are not DC fans. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But they are just getting off on seeing the negative ratings come in.
Yeah.
And seeing that percentage tick down on Rotten Tomatoes. They're posting it with glee online. And I'm like, dude, why are you going this extreme with it?
Yeah.
You're not going to see the movie anyway.
Yeah.
What about this is giving you this pleasure?
Yeah.
Show me on the doll where the DC movies touched you that you feel this angry towards the DC films that you want to see it fail so hard.
Oh my gosh.
The moment I said, show me on the doll where the DC movies touched you, her eyes almost popped out of her head. She was not expecting that one.
I can't believe you just said
You've never heard that phrase before?
I mean, I'm sure I have, but considering things in news lately, I'm surprised you went there.
But it's just, there's this sick pleasure people are getting in something they dislike failing.
Yeah.
Not just not doing well, but failing hard.
Yeah.
And then they get angry when other people say they like it.
Yeah.
Like with The Last Jedi. There are people that were livid that the critics were giving it great reviews after they saw it, and they were just, I've never seen people just spit with frustration in describing a film like people did with Last Jedi.
People putting up petitions to have it removed from the canon, and it's like, and the guy who put up that petition was finally like, yeah, I didn't like the movie, but this was too far because there are petitions up here that actually are important.
Yeah, deserve your attention, not this. I mean, who in their right mind signed that petition thinking that Disney would actually go, we're probably going to make $1 billion on this film, but these 20,000 people want us to remove it from canon. You know what? All the money we put into this and all the money we're making off of this doesn't matter. We're going to redo the film.
Yeah.
If you believe that was actually a possibility, put the paste away, stop eating it, and grow the hell up. That is just ridiculous.
And again, like there you said, grow up. And it's an immaturity thing, or for whatever reason. And how much of it comes from, being raised with the mentality of just, because like our parents' generation, the generation before that, they were all raised with, these are the expectations that you have to live by. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be this. By the time you're this age, you're supposed to be a mom or a dad. You're supposed to have this type of job and go to school and blah, blah, blah. And
our grandparents got married at 16, and that was perfectly normal.
Yeah. But then with our generation, like our parents' generation and generation before that, seeing, so many people, you hear all these people on their deathbeds spouting off their regrets. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. And so then you have like our parents' generations not wanting that for their own kids. Yeah. So they say, be yourself. Don't let people, tell you how you're supposed to be. And so then you get which is admirable. I'm not trying to bash that. I'm not trying to bash that. I just think our generation, because we were the first generation to do this, took it too far.
There's a huge drop off in maturity.
There is.
Our parents' generation to children of the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, because it's like, we are the generation that came up with the term adulting.
Yeah.
I
adulted today.
I've been adulting. I paid bills. I was adulting.
Yeah. And we fully get that we're trashing our own generation, and we're not innocent of all of this. We're speaking from experience with some of this.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. Like myself, I've taken the low road and I've taken the wrong path in expressing my opinion a lot of times. I really try to learn from my mistakes on how I interact with people.
Right.
And I think over the past couple of years, I've kind of changed around a lot in not taking things personally. Because I would get online and people said something about my opinion. Mm-hmm. Even if they were personally attacking me or not, I would take it as a personal attack. Now it's just like, I've learned to, for the most part, let it go. Mm-hmm. And just kind of make sure that if I'm giving my opinion, I'm stating why I feel this way.
Yeah.
And opening it up to, I understand why you feel your way. Or maybe I don't. Please explain to me, how did you make this jump from this to this to this?
Well, you've definitely gotten to a point where whenever you say, that you want information on this, that, and the other, you sincerely mean that. You're not trying to bash someone by saying, "Oh my gosh, tell me what you mean by that." No. It's just, "Oh, tell me what you mean by that."
Yeah.
You know, you're sincere. You want to know their opinion. You want to know why they feel the way they do about it. It's not an attempt to bash their side.
Yeah. Now, I do want to kind of throw out something I did read that gives me hope.
Okay.
For how geeks respond to things. So I already mentioned how there was a group of DC fans who were vowing to trash Black Panther just to bring the rating down.
Right.
Upon hearing this, other DC fans, recognizing the absurdity of that, did a fundraiser to donate money to, I believe it was I don't remember, I think it was in New York, a school where an elementary school where the population of the school is predominantly African American. They did a fundraiser donating money to this school so several of the classes, like the entire class, could go see Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
on a field trip. But so they were wanting to make sure that the film, the audience that this film is going to affect more than any, got a chance to see this.
Right.
Young children who don't see that many heroes that look like them. And I thought that was just an amazing story that they were looking at. These people are giving us a bad name, so let's do something to counteract that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't hear that as much as we do the people being idiots. And
that's because negative stuff tends to have a harder impact.
It is, yeah.
The
positive stuff makes you feel good for a minute. The negative stuff makes you feel like crap for a lot longer.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, it's not just the fans. It's not just the geeks. It's now like the big geek companies.
Yeah.
I know they listen to every single episode we do, but IGN, you guys can kiss my ass.
Note sarcasm.
Yeah. The Nerdists, you guys can kiss my ass right now, because the Nerdists put out a video about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon that's coming out.
Okay.
The picture that I showed you.
Right.
Where they did...
gosh, it looks horrible.
Yeah, they did a reveal photo and the internet just trashed it. So the Nerdists did this video with Jessica Chobot, who's one of the anchors from IGN. She's been around for several years. She was even in a Mass Effect game, and she's completely pointless in the game. It's just, she's there to be kind of pretty because the way they made her look in the game looks so creepy. Uncanny Valley to the extreme. But IGN then turned around and gave this great review to the game, and the game was getting bad reviews from everyone else, and people are like, you're employees in that game.
Yeah.
This is a conflict of interest. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's doing this package about the backlash very sarcastically.
Really?
Trash, kind of, it tongue-in-cheek, trashing the fans that dislike it. Saying, and the internet responded as the internet would, kind of thing. And they were making, they don't like the new designs of the Ninja Turtles. All these people that preferred it when all the Ninja Turtles looked exactly the same except for the colors of their bandanas. And it's just like, no, we dislike the new designs because they look like crap.
No, yeah, you showed me that picture. They're ugly.
Yeah.
It's not a good design.
And the fact that, there were people, again, negativity and just terrible people on both sides of the equation. There are people who like it and are trashing people that don't. And there are people that don't like it that are just taking it to such an extreme. This is killing my childhood and all that crap. But yeah, the animation doesn't look good. They changed all of their weapons. For how long has Raphael had sais? How long has Michelangelo had nunchucks?
Yeah.
And now they don't.
Yeah.
For how long has Leo been the leader?
Yeah.
And now it's Raph. And it's just
Raph was always too much of a hothead to be the leader.
Yeah.
He loses cool way too quickly. You can't lead people if you're not in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, they're changing basic fundamentals of what makes the Ninja Turtles the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
And people dislike that level of change. And now they're being slammed for disliking it. Again, you're not allowed to dislike it. You have to be positive about this.
Yeah.
And this is coming from The Nerdist.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be like a mecca of geek news and geekdom on the internet.
Yeah.
And it comes from IGN, which is another mecca of geekdom. And it's just like, there's no winning.
Yeah.
You know, how are we going to express any kind of opinions without being just dismissed immediately? Because that's what it's come down to.
Yeah.
You're just a hater. Oh, you're just this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just that. Not even listening to what's being said. It's just, you're just this.
Even to the degree of just simply deleting any comments so that it looks like a certain opinion is being given.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, deleting the well thought out, well articulated, non-offensive comments, leaving the ignorant comments to kind of galvanize the product from legitimate criticism.
Right.
And it's just...
Or even deleting anything that's remotely negative to make it look like any, leaving only the positive comments.
Yeah. Because, perception is reality. And if the perception is it's all positive, or the perception is the only negative comments are these kind of negative comments, it lends credence to what they're saying.
Right.
But you don't have to, you don't factor in the fact that, they've deleted several thousand comments about this.
Yeah.
And again, we're not trying to defend one over the other.
Right.
Because we've said this several times. There's negativity on both sides. Even the people that are positive about something have a very negative way of expressing that. Mm-hmm. And I just, I don't get why, and I don't know how that's ever going to be fixed. I can only see it getting worse.
Yeah.
And again,
because it's a matter of the human nature. They've got to just figure out how to change their own mentality, but you can't get millions of people all in the same mind frame to just be more mature or be more appreciative of others or be more kind.
And we equated this to politics. Mm-hmm. And when you see what's been going on over the past, I would say 2 years, it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. And there is no turnaround on the horizon.
Yeah. And
that just saddens me. That's kind of why I'm really low key right now, is because the more we talk about this on this episode, the more it's just like, damn. I've always been proud to be a geek.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like,
you get labeled as a geek, then you're just kind of like, oh, you're one of those guys who's immature and who bashes people online just because they don't like the same thing you do. And it's like, no, that's not what a geek is supposed to be.
Yeah. I've actually cut off not my membership, but I stopped following several geek sites because of this mentality.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Ghostbusters fan, and I cut off from several Ghostbuster fan sites because it was this attitude.
Yeah.
Of, if you feel this way about this, you're not allowed to express it on this page. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
I get wanting to avoid negativity, but just saying you can't discuss it no matter what?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's childish.
Yeah.
And so I wish that we could have this on a little bit of a brighter note. This is going to be a little bit shorter than what we normally go hour to an hour, 15 minutes. And to that guy that told me 2 hours is too long for a podcast, this guy who tried to, go on about, well, I work for a podcasting company that had 95 likes on Facebook.
Well, didn't he say he has a background in radio?
Yeah, I've worked in radio and I've done this, and I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, well, I have a degree in radio. I worked on air for 5 years. I've worked in radio for like 8 before my current career path. You're not the only one with this experience, dude, so get off your throne and calm the hell down. But this guy was trying to tell me the best podcasts only run 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I've never heard a podcast run 30 minutes. Sports Illustrated's #1 sports podcast has been doing 4-hour episodes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It's called Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. It's a pro wrestling podcast. 4 to 5 hour podcast, and this is Sports Illustrated's #1 sports podcast.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that still bugs me.
I can tell.
That I tried,
since you brought it up again.
Yeah, I try to let it go, but still I think about it. I'm just like, it bugs me that it got to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. This was just a chance for us to vent about what's been going on in geekdom.
Yeah.
And it's really disconcerting because I prided myself on being a geek, and now it's...
Yeah, and I've found a common thread because we keep comparing it to politics and stuff like that. You think about all the stuff that people find controversy in: politics, religion, race, now geekdom, things like that. It all comes down to human arrogance.
Oh yeah,
the idea that in some way, shape, or form, the way you are, the way you think, whatever that is somehow better than the next person.
Yeah.
And everything. And it's just a matter, people just got to get over themselves. Get off your high horses, realize that you are no better than the person next to you. And, aim for understanding, aim for equality, aim for just being a kinder, gentler person to your fellow man. And, stop thinking that in some way you are somehow better, that you are somehow God's gift to geek society or something.
Yeah. And just remember that just because somebody dislikes something that you really like, that's not an insult to you.
No.
Because I guarantee you, if you talk to that person for 10 minutes, you're going to find a mound of stuff that you dislike that they love.
And also, the thing is, even if you love it and they hate it, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It's an opinion. It's a matter of personal taste. You can love it all you want. It doesn't mean you're wrong for loving it. It doesn't mean that person's wrong for hating it.
Yeah, it's different backgrounds.
Different backgrounds, different tastes and things. Some people, they only like certain types of humor, or they only like certain types of drama. Some people simply prefer Marvel to DC or vice versa. Just...
Yeah, if you dislike the new DC films,
fine.
That doesn't make you a bad DC fan.
Yeah.
Just because you like the new DC films, that doesn't make you a DC fanboy.
Yeah.
And again, fanboy, that term is, you're going to like anything no matter what they do. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and how many times have you heard me just roll my eyes and talk bad about something in the prequels? And
really, I loved Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It gets crapped on. I loved Man of Steel, but there are things to Justice League that I didn't like. I didn't like how they lightened his suit. It looked very post-production. I did not like how they lightened his suit.
Yeah.
I hated that mustache, CG lip
CG
thing. There's one part where he smiles, and I'm like, oh my God, he's about to devour us all. And sorry, his mouth does this really weird thing when he smiles because of the CG.
I don't know. At this point in my life, I don't know what is the bigger and most blatant indicator of reshoots in movies. Is it Henry Cavill's lip in Justice League? Is it Ewan McGregor's beard in Attack of the Clones? Or is it Samurai Cop's hair in Samurai Cop? I'm leaning towards Samurai Cop.
That wig.
But anyway, we're trying to lighten this up and have fun with this. But the bottom line is there's enough negativity out there. And geekdom is supposed to be the haven.
It's a safe haven.
For the people that were outcasts. And now we're outcasting ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're not giving a good impression to outsiders. We're not giving a good impression to the mainstream when we act like this. We don't need to be like this.
No.
Yet people are taking pleasure in being like this.
We're supposed to be the place that you go to be yourself, to not be judged.
Yeah.
To be able to talk to someone about the things that you love and know that they're going to understand even if they don't love the same things.
Yeah. Geekdom is the lambda
Yes.
of fan bases.
Tri-lambs.
Yes.
We are the freaking Tri-lambs.
And if anybody doesn't get that joke, Revenge of the Nerds, go watch it. It's really hard to watch nowadays. Because I'm sorry, he sexually assaults that woman.
Yeah, he really does.
But anyway.
Take yourself out of current.
Yeah. But it's the whole idea of we didn't fit into all these other molds, so we made our own.
Yeah.
And we need to take pride in that.
Yeah.
And especially with things that I'm seeing now in sports. The radio station I write for, the day after the Super Bowl, they published an article about you cannot call yourself a Dallas Cowboys fan if you supported this team during the Super Bowl.
Really?
And I'm like, okay, I know you guys are trying to be funny about this, but again, it's putting requirements on what you consider yourself a fan of.
It's putting requirements on people on what they're allowed to like.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, you're not a real fan if you like this.
Yeah, and that's
no
absolute horse crap.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, bottom line, like what you're going to like. Respect the fact that people aren't going to like it and that people are going to like stuff that you don't like.
Respect the fact that you are an individual and that the person next to you is their own individual.
Yeah.
You know, individuality. That's what geekdom was originally supposed to be about. You know?
Yeah. Sorry, we're just so disenfranchised and disheartened right now.
Yeah.
This is not going to be like one of our fun topics, but
no.
I love having these discussions with you. So
we need to put like happy clown music over the
But just a capper on this.
I just thought of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead when he's driving up in that little clown car.
Dishes are done, dude.
Oh gosh, you know that the younger brother died.
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, I forget how. Oh my gosh, that just went really sad.
Yeah,
I'm
went
sorry.
Dark. But again, it's all about different backgrounds,
right?
And people are gonna like certain things because of different things in their lives. Just look at it this way. The Last Jedi, we keep going back to this because it's recent, but The Last Jedi did phenomenal business in the States.
Right.
Over in China, did such bad business, it was almost immediately pulled from theaters in China.
Really?
And China is now like the second largest box office in the world behind the United States.
Oh, yeah?
With the United States, we have almost 40 years of Star Wars nostalgia and love going into the success of these films. We've been hearing nothing but bad things about the production of Solo, the Han Solo movie that we finally got trailers for.
Yeah.
Trailers look pretty good, but we've heard a lot of negative stuff. I guarantee you that's going to be number one at the box office, even if it sucks for several weeks, because we have the background of loving Star Wars. China doesn't have it. They get The Last Jedi, they watch it and go, this sucks.
Yeah.
And it's yanked from theaters. The most successful film franchise of all time gets yanked out of the second biggest box office in the world.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the background of it.
Yeah.
Does that make them wrong? No. They just different mentality.
Yeah, just different, different way of thinking, different opinions on it, and different background, and
and it's just different ideals. That's it. But to wrap this up, and speaking of Star Wars, probably the next one, guys, I'm sorry I delayed it. And when I say guys, I'm talking to our buddies that listen to this.
Who have been saying for a while.
Yeah, I was ill the other day. Lindsay went out to a hockey game with our Ghostbusting friends, and they were like, we're still talking about Star Wars, right?
When's he gonna do the Star Wars podcast?
Yeah. When are we gonna do this? They've been for like almost 2 months now. They're like, when are we talking about this? They still want to talk about the new film. So the next one's probably just going to be us talking with our friends about the new film, talking about the Star Wars saga as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should look forward to that one or not.
We're gonna have to make sure we get a nice varied opinion.
Yeah, we might have a lot of fun, or we might lose some of our friends. I don't know which way this is gonna go.
No, we got good friends. They're good peoples.
Yeah, but then this might be the one podcast where it starts off, hey, thanks for listening to our new episode. We're talking about Star Wars. And then 45 minutes in, you just hear chairs throwing and punches. But
that's it. I'm out.
I'm going to join AZ. That's just an inside joke. But thanks to everyone for listening and bearing with us on this very depressing topic.
Depressing. Happy smiles.
Yeah,
happy smiles.
Be happy. Enjoy what you're going to enjoy. And don't shit on others that like something different. That's the best advice we can give.
Individuality. Let go of your arrogance. Say no to the dark side.
Yes, you will.
Bring me the big knife. I'm gonna cut my throat.